Welcome to lesson 1, and this is how to not break trust while copywriting. So this lesson is going to serve as a broad overview and an introduction to copywriting. You're going to learn some basic tips for building trust with your audience, and perhaps even more importantly, how to keep that trust. So first we need to answer that simple question of what is copywriting? Often people mistake marketing copywriting with copyright, R-I-G-H-T, which is about, the exclusive rights and ownership of intellectual property. But the kind of copywriting that we're talking about here refers to the words that we write in order to market things. So what is copywriting? Copywriting is the writing of copy. Essentially, it is your online salesperson. It's all about building trust with your target audience. Conversion copywriting is a term that was coined by Joanna Wiebe of Copy Hackers, and conversion copywriting involves writing copy that moves the reader to say yes. And we do this using voice of customer data, frameworks, formulas, and other proven persuasion techniques. One thing I heard Joanna say once that really resonated with me was that you are selling your prospects a better version of themselves. And that really stuck with me. So where does copywriting appear? Copywriting is everywhere. It's in books, TV, everywhere that you look. It all requires some form of writing. You'll see it in print, so like newspapers, magazines, leaflets, brochures. Although, printing doesn't seem to work as well anymore as it used to, and usually has a pretty low return on investment. They just don't get their money's worth anymore. And plus, do you want to add to the pile of paper that just gets thrown away? I know personally, after I visit my mailbox, I end up taking a trip directly to the recycling bin, oftentimes just throwing away, 80% of what shows up in my mailbox. So I personally don't want to add to that. There's other physical advertising like billboards, poster sites, public transportation, like all those ads that you see on buses. And then there's online. And so website content, pop-ups, banners, social media, emails. This is going to be what we're primarily focusing on throughout this course, is the digital online world of copywriting and marketing. And then there's everywhere else. Half the program that you get from the TV is in words. These words and images imprint themselves onto your mind so that they pop up later. There's a saying that says a person needs to be exposed to something in marketing 7 times before they actually take action. And that's what advertisers are counting on. This is why these things get completely bombarded on us, and how these things get imprinted onto our minds, again, so that they pop up later. So in this lesson, we're going to give a quick look at all of the main forms of online copywriting and some best practices that'll help you build the trust and keep it. Then you'll have the chance to dive deeper into each of these areas in the following modules. But before we get into the different forms of copywriting, let's go ahead and lay some groundwork. Marketing is a lot like forming relationships. There's a process of getting to know the other person, in this case, your target audience. It's about sharing value and building trust. You're going to hear me talk a lot about trust throughout this course, because without it, your message is not going to get very far. If you think of marketing as a relationship, it's really a lot like dating. You have to take the time to get to know your prospects. You need to go where they hang out, find the forums that they like, find the groups that they're in, see what they're into. You want to ask important questions. What motivates them? What are their passions and their dreams? What are their obstacles and challenges? The biggest thing that you need to remember is that it's not about you. And if you're writing for a client or writing for a company, it's not about them either. It's about your prospects. It's about your audience. You're trying to connect with them on an emotional level, and you're really trying to get to know them. This is what needs to drive everything that you write. And like dating, it takes time. You don't ask a person to marry you on the first date. You have to get to know each other, and I'll say it again, you have to build trust. So how do we do this? How do we connect with them on an emotional level and build trust? We do this through lots of research and asking good questions. No matter how much that we think we know our target market, we can only imagine so much. All of the rest comes through audience research and surveys. I had a client that taught low-risk investing. And in the beginning, when we first started working together, the client and I both assumed that the majority of their audience had no experience whatsoever with investing. that they'd just be too intimidated to even start. But it wasn't until we started asking questions that we came to find out that 80% of his audience had tried some form of investing in the past and failed. This insight completely changed our entire marketing approach and how we were speaking to these prospects. It changed our entire marketing strategy in the whole game. And we would have never known that if we had not challenged our assumptions and started asking questions. So you're going to learn a lot more about how to conduct audience research later on in this course. But to sum this first part up, in marketing, every step you take, you need to think about how to keep the trust. Conduct yourself as honest, authentic, and trustworthy. Be caring, and just be human. All right, now that we laid some ground rules, let's look at some of the primary areas of copywriting that we'll be covering in this course. All right, home pages. So let's talk about web copy. So there's lots of different things that come up when it comes to web copy. So home pages, it's called a home as it typically is a starting point where the user gets a core introduction to the website, and they can then choose where they want to go from there. It's the start of the visitor's journey. You could think of it almost as like your online brochure. It's where someone can visit to get all of the essential information about your business or your offer and direct them to where they need to go next. You can keep the trust by making your homepage message speak to their problems with empathy and provide easy navigation so that they can quickly get to where they want to go. About pages. Now, about pages may seem straightforward, but don't let this one fool you. As much as you may think that the about page is about you, it's still about them. With very few exceptions, everything that you put on your about page should connect to how your solution can solve your prospect's problem. If you're talking about your background or your qualifications, connect it to how that background and experience helps your prospects now. This page is an important part of strong branding, and it's the shortcut to telling your audience about the benefits of what you're offering, so that when your visitors want to get a concise introduction of your brand, this is the page that they look for. Product pages and service pages, are just that, pages that focus on your products or services. So you can keep the trust by making things really clear, easy to understand, and really focusing on benefits. So if you have a list of features, connect them to the corresponding benefits right there on the page. In everything that you write, ask yourself how your offer can help to solve their problems, and then articulate that. Checkout pages are pages where they take the final step to purchase, and don't skimp on these. It's a lot easier than you think to lose trust on this page. So you don't want to have any kind of distractions that might lead them away. Reinforce the benefits, and again, keep things extra clear. You're going to hear me say throughout this course, clarity over cleverness. A clear message is much better than a clever message. If you can do both, but focus on clarity over cleverness every single time. So blog pages. In blog pages, this is a web page that's going to house various blog posts. You can keep the trust with clear yet grabby titles for your posts. And if you have lots of posts, you might want to consider grouping them by categories or having a search bar. There's portfolio pages. And the goal of this page is to show what you can do. So you want to use high quality images of your completed work, any performance metrics that you can show, and if you're showcasing things like websites that you've worked on, you could link directly to that website to boost up your credibility. Contact pages. These are usually quite simple, but they do have great importance. It is used to show people how they can contact you or the site owner, the support team, or anybody else responsible for different issues. Don't strive for over-designing on this page or putting too much copy in. It should be super fast to load, informative, to the point, and functional. In many cases, a contact form is also added to let people send you a message right from that page. Landing pages. Now, I saved this one for last in this list because it is an incredibly important area of copywriting and needs its own slide. So landing page is simply a page that someone lands on after clicking a link, usually in an ad or in an email. These can include things like opt-in pages, like if you're offering a lead magnet, a page where they would learn about your lead magnet, provide their email address and opt in. And then there's things like the long form sales landing pages. And these are like your online sales presentation. A long form sales landing page involves several pieces. There's headlines, subheadlines, crossheads, a whole narrative of, problem, agitating the problem and solutions, tons and tons of benefits, and basically all of the information that they need in order to take action. And you're going to learn about all of these pieces later on in this course. And finally, the goal of any landing page is to entice the reader to take one specific action. And I really want to stress one action. You don't want to distract them with external links or menu bars at the top that are going to take them away from the page. You'll learn why this is extremely important when we get into the rule of one, which is going to happen in the next module. All right, so since we just mentioned lead magnets, let's go ahead and talk about those for a minute. The goal of a lead magnet is to provide value for free. These are gifts. These are not sales tools or presentations, and they're not bribes. It's like the first step in the dating process. It's like giving flowers to your prospective date. The only thing that you're asking for in return is an email address. This is not the time to get pushy. You're not shoving your business down their throat in a lead magnet. You want to offer value, and then you could put a link to your website. You could put your phone number at the end, but again, this is low pressure. It's just like if you were say to leave your phone number on a card with the flowers. You're not shoving it down their throat. You're not shoving it in their face, pressuring them to call you, but just leaving it there in case they feel like they're ready to contact you later on for another date. It's not about calls to action in a lead magnet. It's about sharing from your heart and helping to solve their problems freely, offering value without any expectation in return. Again, it's all about building trust. The second that you start to get pushy in your lead magnet is the second that you start to break trust. All right, email marketing and newsletters. There are lots of different kinds of emails, but there's one thing that they all have in common, and that is how you're speaking to people in the way that you write in these emails. Copywriting in emails should always be conversational, like you're talking to a friend. Always. Even when you're selling something, even when you're letting them know about a new product, you want to talk to them like you're talking to a friend. This can often mean using even poor grammar and punctuation. And the point is that you're trying to show them that you're a real person emailing them. So you have to write like a real person. Take a look and study your inbox sometime and notice the different kinds of subject lines and the email content, and ask yourself if it seems like it's coming from a business or from a real person. And see how that resonates with you. Start to paying attention to which things grab you and entice you to open the email. There are lots of different kinds of emails, some of which include things like welcome emails. And these happen, after someone opts in by downloading your lead magnet or subscribing to your newsletter on your website. This is just a simple email welcoming them into the fold and maybe delivering a lead magnet. There's promotional emails, which, simply put, is promoting some kind of a product or a service or an event, some kind of promotion. There's transactional emails, and these are emails that are sent after they take an action, like they make a purchase or sign up for something. This is where you might be sending them like a thank you or telling them what the next steps are to take, or maybe if they signed up for an event, you're sending them the Zoom link so they can access the course. This is all about this is what a transactional email is. Survey emails. So this is an invitation to fill out a survey. You want to keep these really warm and inviting and low pressure, but you want to maybe consider adding like an incentive to take your survey, like some kind of a free download or a coupon, some kind of extra value to give them something in it for them for taking the time to fill out your survey. Feedback requests, and this is very similar to like a survey email. If you're asking them to provide some feedback on something, you want to do this very similar to a request to fill out a survey. You want to keep it warm, inviting, and genuine. Nurture emails. These are value-based emails that are sent with the sole intention of providing value. If you're planning out an email sequence that has more than one email, say like a string of emails, you want to plan and strategize out to have this about 75% nurture emails and 25% promotional or sales emails. So for every 3 nurture emails, you can put in a promotional email. Again, this is all about building trust. And remember when I said, sometimes it takes people 7 times to come in contact with something before they take action. This relates to your brand as well. So, just continuing to provide value in their inbox with these nurture emails, get them excited to open up your emails. If you start just sending them sales email after sales email, they're going to unsubscribe pretty quick. So again, it's all about building trust. New products or services. So, obviously, if you have something new coming up that you need to promote, you can put together an email that's promoting your new product, new kind of service, showcasing the benefits and how they can take action. Then there's cold emails, and a cold email is like an email invitation sent to a cold prospect. It's telling them about your product or your service and inviting them to enter the conversation, just to take the next step. So to build trust in this case, do your research first. Show them that you're not just sending some kind of cookie cutter email, but that you really know who they are and what they offer and what challenges that they're facing that you can help them with. Then there's newsletters. And you likely know what a newsletter is. It's an engaging email that usually has some form of news or updates, maybe some links to interesting articles or videos. But it's a way to keep your audience informed on what you've been up to, and again, just to provide more value. So these should be entertaining at their core. You want people to be excited to open up these newsletters. So engaging and entertaining, cut the fluff to the point, make it as fun as you can. All right, let's talk about blogs. We write blogs to educate and share value. These are not meant to be sales pages. You can subtly plug things in, but the purpose is to, again, share value without asking for anything in return. If you happen to mention that you have an offer available, that's fine, but this shouldn't be a high-pressure selling situation. You could put a call to action on the end of a blog, but there should only be one call to action, and again, low pressure. Blogs are a good way to answer the burning questions that come up in research, especially the frequent ones, the things that come up turn into patterns that come up again and again. Another reason that we write blogs is to expand on relevant topics. Sometimes we try to fit way too much info onto like a web page, things that a person first arriving there just doesn't need to know. But there's different personality types that we're writing for, right? So on a web page, you might have people coming there, some that are the type that take their time and need to know all the details and all the information, and some people are there just straight to the point. So you can cater to both of these by keeping things nice and concise on your website, but then you can link to blog posts that expand upon these different topics. So those that are looking to get more education, learn more about different things on your website, you can expand upon all these topics in your blogs. And finally, blogs are an amazing way to boost up your SEO, your search engine optimization. So speaking to things that people are asking about and searching for on the internet, you can use these as titles for your blog posts and trying to use different keywords in your blogs that'll help you rank higher in search engines. All right, social media. So social media advertising is a way to grab the attention of cold traffic, typically cold traffic. Now, this is different than social media management, which is focused on like regularly posting content to create social engagement. This is not what we are talking about here. What I'm talking about is advertising, getting people to take action. So you could advertise your next event or let people know of a new product or a webinar that you have. And this is usually a great place to offer your lead magnet to help move people into the next stage of awareness. And you're going to learn about the 5 stages of awareness in the next module. So quickly, I want to touch on Google advertising versus Facebook advertising. And I'll just say, we'll see how long that we even have to continue to use these platforms, as the very unethical practices that they conduct are getting harder and harder for even the most mainstream audiences to swallow. But for the sake of this lesson, let's talk about the difference in advertising on these two platforms, because as much as we may not like them, there's still a large piece of the population that are using these platforms. And in our case, when we're trying to reach people, we need to reach them where they're at. So for some of your clients, some of your work might have to do some Google advertising or some Facebook advertising if you want to reach more people. So we'll see how things change in the coming years. So with these two platforms and the difference, the simplest way to put it is things like Facebook is for cold traffic. and Google is for warm or hot traffic. And to think about this, people that are on Facebook and other social media sites, they're just scrolling along with very little or no purpose at all. Whereas someone that's searching on Google is usually there with a purpose, and they're ready to take some kind of action, whether it's to just learn more or to actually make a purchase. So that makes them, more of a warm or a hot lead. And so you can keep these things in mind as you structure the language of your ads and how you're trying to approach people. Okay, let's recap what is most important in this entire lesson. Copywriting is about trust. It's about them. It's not about you. Good research is about asking important questions. Take the time to really understand and empathize with your prospects and try to connect with them on an emotional level. Finally, just remember to be human. So in the next module, we're going to get things moving by looking at the fundamentals of copywriting, including the 5 stages of awareness, the rule of 1, and the copywriting process. I'll see you there.